This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Hey, host Jason Glick, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, John. Yourself?
No, not too bad. What do you have to talk about tonight?
Well, what I've got to talk about is certainly timeless in terms of manga, and also one of the most influential. It's like works out there, and I mentioned this. I'm bringing it up now because back in France's Angoulême festival, Katsuhiro Otomo was recently named its chief, and he was going to get a big award for this. So I mean, it's like I realized, hey, with him coming out in the spotlight again, what better time to talk about his definitive work, Akira? Because it's like talk to people who aren't fans of manga or anime, and yeah, they'll at least have heard of Akira, the movie, that is, because it is just hugely influential and just like a landmark in in animation and cinema. In fact, it really has its impact and influence haven't been equaled since it was released back in 1988. Because it's just it was just a huge shock to the system that no one had seen anything like this before, and not even Japan has tried to equal its impact since.
I had a friend who actually was in Japan when it was released, and he went to see it just a sight unseen, and he was floored by it.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually, Tara's husband Michael. His parents actually took him and his brother to see it back when they were kids, and yeah, that messed him up something good, and now he teaches high school. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say for a nation like ours has been weaned on Disney and Warner Brothers cartoons for the last 5 decades prior to its release. I mean, to see this something that was a hard science fiction story with lots of violence and incredible spectacle. I mean, no one has released anything that approaches like Akira's skill and impact, let alone level of violence since then. I mean, it's like Akira stands alone in animation. Not as much in Japan, where it also has stuff like Ghost in the Shell and Cowboy Bebop to at least compare to in terms of science fiction, sci-fi action. In other words, but for America, I mean, no, it's it flipped our lid, and ever since then, no one has ever tried to say, hey, we can do something just as crazy and violent. And we got Titan AE, and I don't think that counts. So, but the thing is, the Akira of the movie and Akira the manga are two very different beasts. I mean, first of all, the original Akira was originally serialized, started serialization way back in the halcyon days of 1982 in Japan, and didn't finish until 1990. And it was released in 6 large phone book-sized volumes, and it also give you an impact of its importance. It's also one of the few manga here that was actually licensed first by Marvel Comics for their Epic Comics imprint, and was released in a nice thick prestige format, and colorized as well. Actually, the color, I've read the original manga. So most of the original manga in its colorized form at the UCR special collections library, the Eaton collection, because some guy apparently just had a bunch of these comics and gave them to the collection, and it's like, wow, this is great. Oh no, you don't actually have the entire series. Shit. So yeah, it's like, even though I read about 2/3 of the series, I was shit out of luck until Dark Horse, because who else was going to release this back at the turn of the millennium? And they released the series in 6 nice big phone book sized volumes, because even after the manga revolution had taken place, Dark Horse was still trying to feel things out and think, and realizing, hey, there's still a large audience of people who will read flipped manga, who aren't going to have that much of it, who are going to look at the should be turned off with the fact that the manga is, reads unflipped right to left. It's like, and that there's people who just want to read this normally. I have the Dark Horse editions because I still have them because the Kodansha editions, which came out which were actually Kodansha's first publication as a company in the U.S. Their update, even though it puts the manga on glossy pages, and my newsprint, Dark Horse's newsprint stock is starting to show its age. It's still really not a significant upgrade. Aside from that, and also it's just kind of like sad to think that Dark Horse went through all the trouble to release this back in the day, and then now it's like, oh, not yours anymore. Sorry. So I'm probably the only person who's just slightly bitter about that, but what are you going to do? But it's also telling the fact that Akira is actually released in its original dimensions and not shrunk down. And most manga are Akira, that's Akira's importance. Where even if the title Ghost in the Shell, gets is released these days in it's a pocket-sized format. Akira, no, comic-sized dimensions, because that's the treatment that this series demands. And God knows that the art from Otomo is absolutely incredible. I mean, a lot of the character designs are very much 80s, in their look and feel, and also the whole cyberpunk aesthetic to it with the biker gangs and all. But Otomo's art is absolutely stunning in this. It's in this series from beginning to end, and it's just from the level of detail that he puts into the cityscapes. It just gets only more insane as things go on. When you start off in the pristine urban, you get such a pristine urban spectacle in Neo-Tokyo, but also seeing the urban decay in its lower areas. And then you've also got the things go on when Neo-Tokyo gets its shit wrecked halfway through. You've got the destroyed cityscapes that require even more attention to detail. And Otomo and his assistants, which according to Wikipedia include an uncredited Satoshi Kon, the art is truly magnificent. And if you are someone who thrives on looking at great comic art, then Akira absolutely belongs in your collection for this, for that reason alone. And it's also impressive just to see how cinematic Otomo's his work here is, in the sense that it's a lot. It's just it just shows a lot. It thrives primarily on action, just showing people fighting, bullets flying, heads exploding, of course, lots of shit being thrown on by people's minds, and also just heavy explosives everywhere. It's a really impressive feat that he manages to have all this motion come off impressively and absorbingly in the course of the manga. There's so much great stuff I can just keep going on about the art, but it's just it's really immersive, and it's the manga's strongest aspect. Because here's the thing, because even though Akira is certainly an epic, rereading it again is also that caused me to realize a couple things, in the sense that there's really not a whole lot of story going on here, in the sense that yes, it's a story about the government has been experimenting on kids in order to unleash their latent psychic powers, and Sign of the Times, the series takes place 30 years in the future, in 2030 Neo-Tokyo, 30 years after World War III. See, and now everyone's managed to rebuild in the meantime, but the government is still poking around with the psychic powers that caused they kicked off World War III to begin with. Because it turns out, while it's not public knowledge, it turns out that one of the experimentees from this project, the kid known as only as number 28, Akira, was the one who destroyed Neo-Tokyo and set off this world war. Now, things kick off with this when these biker biker punks come into contact with this wizened kid one day, racing in the in the sort of outskirts of Neo Tokyo, and well, one of the kids, named Tetsuo, is injured in this by this kid, and his buddy Kaneda, the gang's leader, tries to take out, find out what this kid's deal is, and he winds up getting, and Kaneda winds up getting sucked into this into the outer part of this conspiracy, and also gets involved with the freedom fighters who are trying to liberate the kids and find out the truth behind the the experiments. Well, Tetsuo they find out that he's taking it for medical treatment. They find out the government winds up finding out that he's got psychic powers of his own. And Tetsuo and Akira, they've been friends since childhood, but there's also Kaneda's the leader, Tetsuo's the one who follows, and now Tetsuo's been starting to chafe at this after all these years. Now that he's found that he has these powers, now it's probably his chance to take the lead and carve out his own destiny. And for the first 3 volumes, it's basically the series has a great screwball energy of a great screwball comedy in the sense that you've got all these characters from Kaneda to Tetsuo to the rebels the adult Ryu, Kei, a sensible female love interest of this series, who also doesn't have psychic powers herself, but is also a great psychic conduit, and all. Again, their friends. And the colonel, who is basically running the government, the government's psychics program, and it's just seeing how all these characters and several more just keep bouncing off each other, just running to each other like, "Hey, it's you," and how they just keep ping ponging off each other as the narrative goes on, and eventually culminating in the destruction of Neo Tokyo through random chance. That's the first 3 volumes. Then volumes 4, 5, and 6 basically cover the rise of the Great Tokyo Empire and all of Tetsuo and Akira's their own efforts to run Neo Tokyo for themselves, and against the opposing foes of the psychic seer lady. It's like Lady Miyako, and also just what all the other survivors from the first half as they try to take Tetsuo down for what he's done to them over the course of the series. It's there's not really a whole lot of deep. The plotting here isn't exactly deep. It's a lot of the thrills here are just kind of on the surface, just seeing the action, the carnage. It's Tetsuo's psychic powers go completely out of control in the second half, and that's fine. I mean, it's entertaining as it is. There is some nice character work in the course of the in the course of the series, even though it's kind of it's all it's most of the characters are just kind of kept pretty simple. What got me about this latest read through was just the fact that I realized just how much of a jerk Kaneda is. I mean, aside from just leading a biker gang doesn't make him a bad person, but when his girlfriend that he's seeing at school basically tells him, "Hey, I might be pregnant," implying that he's the father. His response is, "Hey, great, can I watch you have it?" So yeah, that's Kaneda in a nutshell, and he's very much the act then think type of personality, and you just wonder yes, he's a jerk bordering on asshole, but the reason he makes a great protagonist is that he is also a born leader in the sense that he's got a natural charisma to him that gets people to follow him, and even though he sounds like he may actually seem like he's causing more harm than he's harming more than he hurts. The fact that he's actually doing something, also shows that the fact that he's actually doing something is actually for the good of the characters, and again, and the cast in the end. Though looking at his relationship with Kei, it's something that is completely founded on the like the adrenaline rush of the people like in stressful situations form together. I can believe that they would form a connection throughout all the events of these 6 volumes. But as soon as things are over and the excitement wears off, Kay's going to realize, my God, why did I ever see this fucker in the first place? There you go. So overall, I think Akira is an entertaining work and definitely worth reading. But it's not like, say, for me, it's not one of the all-time greats. I mean, there's a reason I didn't pick it as one of my top 20 favorite comics of all time, because there's a lot more stuff even if it's not as well drawn, there's a lot more comics out there with much better depth than Akira in the end. But however, if you've only seen the movie, then yeah, you definitely owe it to yourself to check out the manga at some point, just to see how much more different than how much the manga expands on the original, the original story, because it's also one of the rare. The movie is also one of the extraordinarily rare instances of the person who created the original work, Otomo, actually pulling off a really good adaptation of his material. So, and it's also worth knowing that he also did this while he was still creating the manga, because the movie came out in '88 and the manga didn't finish serialization until 1990. So, yeah, I'm sure people who were reading the manga were just kind of realize we're kind of like, when the fuck is the next chapter going to come out while the movie was in production. But I don't know. It's like, in the end, I think the movie is definitely the more seminal work, but the manga is definitely has its merits and is worth your time as well. John, any thoughts on your end here?
So, I don't know, did you say this? Does the manga wrap up any elements of the story that you don't see in the movie?
Well, you actually, Akira exists as an actual character in the manga. Instead of just a series of dismembered well-preserved body parts.
Right.
He's actually a fairly significant character from volume 3 onwards. He's not kind of like he doesn't have much of a character, so to speak, because the way the story presents him is that he opened his mind entirely to this psychic power, and as a result, now he only exists as kind of like a vehicle for the power manifest.
Okay.
Oh, and also one thing about the manga is that because Otomo had to rejigger a lot of stuff to make the movie work. One of the things that I regret seeing him cut out was the character of Chiyoko, one of the one of the other rebels who was working with Kay, and Chiyoko is great because she is just this burly as fuck female. It's like female commando. It's who has no problems just either just punching guys out or just shooting them with an AK or knocking them out with a rocket launcher. Yeah, she's a fantastic character, and while I can completely understand why Otomo had to cut her out, because there really wasn't any room for her, in the movie, she's imagine 80s era Schwarzenegger with boobs.
Yeah,
and you've got her appeal in a nutshell.
There you go. Hey, stronger female characters, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's awesome. That's great. Well, do you know what you're going to be talking about next time?
Next time, I'm going to talk about someone who has done a lot of work to define define and defend comics as a medium themselves. And it was also, after a couple of decades, actually released his first major graphic novel. Scott McCloud, the author of Understanding Comics. I want to talk about him next time, because his latest graphic novel, the Sculptor, haven't finished it yet. What I've read so far is really good, and I look forward to talking about his important works, just Sculptor, Understanding Comics, and Zot. So that's what's in store for next week.
All right, and we'll catch you next time on Comic Picks by the Glick.
All right, laters.
Bye.